Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for April 17, 2019. Today we're looking at the AUDUSD, the Australian, versus the US dollar for today's trade analysis. Some interesting things happening here on the Australian dollar over the past couple of weeks, actually several months. Let's go ahead and go out here to the weekly time frame. We've studied this pattern in the daily trade room a couple of times. Here on the weekly we see long term. We're going back beginning of last year, 2018, end of 2017. We capped out the resistance high up here into the 0.81 level at the top of the chart. Began a downtrend, pushing all the way back down here, settling out right about the 7,000 area, 0.7 thousand. We did get that anomalous spike here a couple of months ago where the market crashed and pressed down here and then suddenly returned. But for the most part, we've seen somewhat of a descending or consolidating triangle here between these two black lines. Support around 7,000 and falling resistance highs. Well, what's interesting this week, and again, this is the weekly time frame, this week we've actually pushed through that falling black trend line, the top of that descending triangle. So isn't that interesting for us? As we look for opportunities, we could be looking for the Australian dollar finally to be turning around and this falling trend here turning maybe back into an uptrend as it pushes through the top of that triangle. Now we need to be careful that it's not a false breakout and the next week turns right back around and gets inside, but definitely something interesting for us here on the weekly time frame. Daily time frame gives us a different perspective. Of course, we have the black line coming down here from the top, the one around 7,000. Different perspective, and we can see that the market is currently rising and finding resistance 71.85.72. That's the pink shaded area here on the chart. Let's zoom in one more time. So as I zoom in, you can see the past 1, 2, 3, 4 days or so bouncing around between the orange zone as support, which is 71.60, 71.45. The resistance at the pink zone, again 71.85.72. Challenging that pink zone today. The question is, will it bounce off of it like it has for the past couple days, or finally break through it and continue to go higher for the the Australian dollar? This is the Australian dollar, and as it continues to rise, if it pushes through the pink zone, that's of course a rising AUD, the Aussie getting stronger against a falling USD. Today, we've actually seen the US dollar falling off a bit on the day so far, so that's also given some headway for this to go higher. As the USD falls, this would go higher. So stronger Australian, weaker US, this would tend to go back up. Green circle back here shows historical resistance around the pink zone. That's just highlighting that as an important area as well. Just underneath 72. 0.72, top of the pink zone. Something else interesting here on the chart are the moving averages. The blue one happens to be the 200 periods daily simple moving average, and the 100 period is the green line. We've been basically bouncing around between the 100 and 200 period simple moving average for the past 3 days or so, 3 or 4 days or so. So very interesting there. But what's probably most interesting is what's happening here at the pink zone and resistance there at that 200. So we know one of two things is going to happen here at the pink shaded area. Either it's going to break the moving average, break the pink zone, and start moving higher and continue the rising trend, or it's going to find resistance, fall back off, get back underneath the orange zone, and resume a downtrend. So that's really kind of what we're waiting on to see, is evidence of one of those two things, either a break above the pink zone or bounce off it to go back down. Take it down to the 4-hour time frame. We won't see the daily moving average here on the 4-hour time frame, but again, we can see some significant things happening here on the 4-hour that we didn't see on the daily. And number one, we haven't actually seen it break out above 72, 0.72 yet. In fact, it is clearly finding resistance at 0.72. So until it actually has been able to break out above 0.72, I'm cautious in assuming that this is a breakout and I should be buying it. So 72 is kind of that barrier. Remember, the 200 period moving average is there. So we need to get above there. We need the US dollar to continue to break down and go lower. We need the Australian to continue to appreciate and go higher. If that's going to satisfactorily break through 72, which it has not done. The other side of this is we're watching for the other side. We're watching for the market to turn around and go back down, which would be an infusion of sell orders, and reversal here for this currency pair. If it turns around like this, we would look for, again, the US dollar to make a strong comeback, start moving higher. We would look for bad news, poor news out of Australia to send this back down. So that's something that we need to take into consideration in the next couple of days. We obviously have this trend to contend with right now. So if I was going to buy it, if we were looking to go long, obviously the orange zone, the red trend line, top of the black trend line would be down closer to 71.60 would be probably the ideal place to buy it, or above the pink zone, as we've already outlined. So buyers are looking at the orange zone or above the pink zone. Sellers are watching for clues to resistance and reversal here from 72. Potentially a breakdown of the orange zone would eventually see it go lower, but at least right now that should give you something to work with on the Australian dollar for the day.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.